All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships. And look at this. I'm just looking at my camera, Diane, and it was cockeyed sitting there, and I'm like, let me straighten it a little bit. so, so, so today I am here with Diana Rapine, and I'm really glad that I asked you before we hit the record how to pronounce your last name. And Diana, welcome to the show, Diana.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be
Yeah,
here.
I have been looking forward to this. I interviewed Grace Clemens, a little while ago for the podcast.
Mhm.
And after, having that experience with her and just, she was like, Kevin, you really need to talk with Diana and interview her for the podcast too. And so here we are. And I'll tell you what, that is the absolute best way to meet new people is through an introduction from somebody that we've already got a relationship and that we like and all that. Because now, I mean, Diana, when we first met and had our first conversation a while back, as I meant, it was just totally chill, and we just got to hang out and get to know each other a little bit, and that's always the best way. And so, what a power to the testament to the power of relationships, because that's what this podcast is all about. And so
Absolutely.
I am looking forward to having this conversation with you. And what I'd like to do is I just want to start by turning it over to you so we can set a little bit of context, and you can give whatever order you kind of want to go through. But some of the stuff I just want you to touch on is your background, how you got into doing what you do, and I want to talk about what you do, who you serve, what inspires you most about the work you do, and if that's too much, sometimes people are going, well, Kat, that's a lot to think about. I'm like, you just start talking about what feels right, and I'll make sure and ask questions to get out of you what I want.
Sounds great.
So I'll just turn it over to you, and we'll just kick things off here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. My name's Diana Rapine. As Kevin had said, I'm the owner of Palm and Pine Marketing and Design, and I've been a social media manager for over 5 years. Palm and Pine serves small businesses that generate under $500,000 in revenue yearly. We provide social media management, content creation, brand design, and marketing assistance packages, which can be a variety of marketing tasks, including email marketing, product photography, and so on.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about my story about how I even became a marketer.
Yeah.
I was a first generation college student, so I didn't have much guidance on how to go to college, but I knew I wanted to do it. So when I graduated high school, I enrolled at Towson University. I
Okay.
moved there for a semester, enrolled in classes and everything, and then I got that bill at the end of the semester. And I said, oh shit. How am I going to pay for this? So I made the executive decision to drop out of college after that first semester. I worked 3 jobs. I nannied for a little girl for I think 4 years, and that went into my community college experience.
Okay.
I worked as a hostess, and I did something else. I think I worked at another restaurant. It was Sonic. Oh yeah, Sonic in Edgewater.
Oh.
Um, so yeah. Uh, and then while I was working, I started going to Anne Arundel Community College part-time because, juggling 3 jobs, trying to still finish college, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I became involved on campus because I learned that there is this organization called Campus Activities Board, and they have a yearly budget to hire talent to come to the college and plan all of these events. And I was like,
Okay.
and I got paid for it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. I could stop one of these other 3 jobs and just stay on campus and make money. Um, I became involved in the Entrepreneurial Studies Institute because I decided my major in community college was going to be a business transfer studies
Okay.
degree. Once I got involved in the Entrepreneurial Studies Institute, I was introduced to Carlene Cassidy and the Ratcliffe Scholarship, which instead of being a part-time student, if I won that Ratcliffe Scholarship, I could dedicate my whole time to school and not worry about the bill at the end of the semester and being having to leave college again.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for that. The scholarship idea that I had was a restaurant for the local community that changed on a weekly or a monthly um, time period. So, 1 month it could be an Italian dinner restaurant, white linens and, nice music, live music. And then the next time it could change into a comedy club type of thing.
Okay.
It was kind of
Okay.
interesting. I was blessed enough to actually get the Radcliffe Scholarship and I graduated from Salisbury. I'm sorry, from Anne Arundel Community College.
Nice.
And then I applied for another scholarship that allowed me to transfer to Salisbury University on the Eastern Shore. And at the time, I had never been to the campus. I went during the winter time and I always said, "Oh, I guess I'm going to school in the cornfields because it's the Eastern Shore of Maryland." I went during the winter where there is not a student in sight or anyone my age. I walked around the outside of the campus and I said, "Huh, guess this is home now." So I enrolled. Um, and yeah, I got involved there, which just led to so many opportunities. And I became involved in their activities planning program called SOAP, the Student Organization for Activity Planning. And I eventually became a grad assistant to take me through grad school, and I got my MBA. During my last semester, I had a consultancy class, and I had the opportunity with my team to rebrand a local health organization.
Okay.
And that opened my eyes to marketing because I was a management major. I was usually like one of a few girls in all those classes. And every time I saw marketing, I was like, "Ugh, it's just marketing. They don't really do anything." Boy, am I wrong. I was so wrong. Um, so, anyways, I graduated in 2021 in the midst of COVID. So everything that I had lined up fell through the cracks. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, what am I going to do now? So I took the skill set that I briefly learned in that consultancy class and I became a freelancer in marketing. And then I was reached out to a friend named Chris Weir, who owns Braggy Strategic Marketing, and he asked me to help him start that agency where I kind of led the social and content creation side of things.
Okay.
And then later on, I think 2 or 3 years later, I was also living in a tiny house exploring the East Coast because I'm crazy. Um, but I was able to work with remotely, which is such a blessing in marketing if you have that ability. And I created Palm and Pine marketing and design with my best friend Haley. And yeah, that leads me to where I am today.
Wow. Very cool. So, it's interesting. I got the entrepreneurial bug when I was in high school and was part of this group called FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. And that's when I
Awesome.
first got the entrepreneurial bug and had made up my mind that I wanted to go to college and study business. And
Hmm.
and unfortunately, my father, he ended up getting diagnosed with cancer. He passed away at the end of my 10th grade year. And when
Wow.
mom became the sole income earner, I'm like, she couldn't afford to go to college. And
Hmm.
so I did the next best thing. I joined the military for 4 years, and then I was like, okay, I want to get money to start my business. How do I do that? And I'm like, well, buddy told me, why don't you go down to Seattle, because I live up north of Seattle. Go get a job on one of those fishing boats and go to Alaska. Those guys make all kinds of money. I'm like, that sounds good. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, Diane. But I did that for 7 years until almost losing my life. That would have been 95. In fact, this scar on my chin is from that. We got hit broadside with a huge rogue wave, picked me up and just hurled me all the way across the boat into the railing on the other side. I hit it with my face, and
Ooh,
that's why, and it knocked my front teeth out, the whole thing. And that's when I was like, you know what? You spend enough time fishing. I finished out my contract, and I'm like, I'm done. And that's when I started
wow.
my. So like there is, there's differences, but man, when I hear you share your story too, I'm like, I see so much of myself in that, and like these oh shit moments of like, what are you gonna do? you know. So I can totally relate to. You know what? Any entrepreneur can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
that we do have those moments where like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do about this? And we figure it out. And kudos to you for, I mean, it just shows your resourcefulness is what it does, you know. And that is a trait of every successful entrepreneur, is that we are resourceful and we just figure things out, you know. And so
100%.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that is so awesome. So, with what you guys are doing, so let me ask you this before I dig into the other question. I'm going to ask you about relationships. What inspires you most, Diana, about the work that you get to do right now and the clients and the people that you get to serve? What inspires you most about it?
I think making a difference not only for the business owners that I'm helping, but most of the time their organizations have some type of philanthropy attached to them.
Okay.
Uh, for example, Crab Cakes and Cannabis has an initiative called Joint Action. So every month I go out and I film, but I also volunteer with them their community events. So 3 weeks ago, we planted 50 trees in Frederick, Maryland on a Saturday morning. It happened to be absolutely beautiful outside. And she partners with a local organization, which was Streamlink Education, and then a dispensary called Curaleaf came out. And
Okay.
it wasn't just the Curaleaf in Frederick. Everyone, all the dispensaries in Maryland, Curaleaf came out to actually volunteer, which was so cool. And they wore her brand, Crab Cakes and Cannabis t-shirts there. We took videos and pictures, and it was just a great time. We ate some donuts. And I love creating that content because it's so impactful. Like, we're all coming together and making a difference.
Yeah.
And then for the small business owners, I like being resourceful to them. I get to free up their time and boost their revenue without them having to do every little thing. I feel like
Mhm.
as a small business owner, you try to do so much and you can burn out so fast.
Yeah.
And it's part of that growth cycle of, okay, well, I'm growing to this level. Now I need to bring someone else on so I can grow to the next.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. And I
That,
love that I get to be creative.
that is cool. You know, and you're right, you know, especially entrepreneurs, you know, I know you mentioned that, you know, a million and under, correct? That's who your
Yes.
ideal people are. And you're right, you know, if you're a million and under, many times the entrepreneur, the founder of that company is wearing so many hats, you know, and I
Mhm.
have been that guy in my businesses before. And you know, when we are holding that role, yeah, you can totally get overwhelmed and burnt out, and this stuff starts falling through the cracks, and you know, so I can see how. Well, I remember the first time I hired a VA years ago, and I'm like, and she was amazing. She was actually with me for 8 years until I sold that business. And
Wow.
I mean, when Sharon started working with me, uh, for one, I couldn't believe that first month. I'm like, wow, is this gal for real? She really does all this. And then she would come back to me and she's like, Kevin, here's some other ways that I see I can help you. And I'm like, man, you go with it. And I'm like, this is so awesome. You know? And so, and and it's like I could have a life again, you know, and it was
Mhm.
so cool. And
And
yeah, that's powerful right there for sure. So
I think that's another thing that you just said. I can have a life again. I think before we all become entrepreneurs, we have this mindset of, oh, I'm escaping the 9 to 5. I can't wait to work for myself.
yeah, yeah,
And then once you do, you realize it's not 9 to 5, it's
yeah,
24/7.
yeah, totally, totally. Well, and yeah, and that's how it was for me. Absolutely, 100%. You know,
Mhm.
it didn't matter what I was doing. If I was at work, I was feeling guilty because I wasn't spending enough quality time with my family. And when I'm with
Mhm.
my family, I'm even like thinking about, oh my gosh, you got all this stuff at work that you need to take care of, you know. And I was just constantly in my head. And
Mhm.
you know, we compare that to today in my life, and I just get to be fully present in whatever I'm doing. You know, right
That's
now,
awesome.
you and I are having this conversation and doing this interview. I'm not thinking about anything else but like right here, what's going on here. And you know what? I've When we finish this, I've got one more call for today. and then I will be done by noon my time today, and that's pretty normal for a Friday. And I'll
Mhm.
be taking the weekend off to be with the family. And when I am with my family, I am no I have for years I haven't spent time with my family thinking about, oh my gosh, you got all this stuff to do at work. That's
Yeah,
all handled now, you know.
that's
And
amazing.
so
I think that's the true freedom that we all seek as
yeah,
entrepreneurs, is having that
totally.
ability to actually enjoy our family life.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you, with 7 kids and currently 6 grandkids, we're busy there. So
I'm sure. That's amazing.
okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. I'm gonna reiterate the question for the benefit of our listeners. So Diana, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yes, absolutely. I would not be here today without Carlene Cassidy.
Okay.
As I said before, she was the head of the Entrepreneurial Studies Institute at Anne Arundel Community College, and now she's the CEO of the Ratcliffe Foundation. She is brilliant when it comes to business. She's what sparked my passion of entrepreneurship and learning everything about business. And she was probably the most passionate educator I've ever had the honor of being my professor.
Wow.
Um, I think there are some people who may become a professor and their whole thing is, okay, look at this slideshow presentation, read your textbook, and take this test.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
telling you, this woman wants you to learn. She wants you to live what she's teaching you. She's just so passionate and she's so entertaining that it's hard not to learn whatever she's teaching you. And she opens so many doors of opportunity for all of her students and connections in her life. So just like her podcast, the relationship value is there.
Yeah.
Your network is your net worth, but not only in the physical aspect of, money, but the intangibles as well.
Yeah.
Just like this podcast and talking with you today.
Yeah. It's interesting when you're hearing you talk about her. I think back to my high school days that I had these teachers that I absolutely detested going to their class. And then I
Yes.
had other teachers that I loved going to their classes. And in fact, I remember in
Mhm.
my 10th grade, I had I was in this trigonometry class and not doing well. I did not do good in trigonometry at all, and I wasn't getting help from the teacher and stuff. And so the last half of the school year, I just quit going to fifth grade or fifth period trigonometry, and I started going to PE fifth period and sixth period. And my PE teacher let me do that. And at the end of the year, my math teacher saw me on campus, and he was like, "Wow, I thought you just were gone or something." And I'm like, "No, I quit coming to your class because it totally sucked." And I couldn't get help, and he was like, "Well, come in and take the test and the final, and you'll at least get a passing grade." And I don't know what happened there. Maybe he was scared or whatever. I don't know.
Huh.
But I did. I took the test and I got a D in that class. Even I did
Wow.
not earn a D. I should have had an F. But the teacher, my gym teacher, who now he passed away years ago, that guy, Mr. Linden, he was such an amazing, because like you just talked about,
Mhm.
he just cared, and he was fun. He was funny. He made learning fun, and you just loved being around him because how he made you feel when you were in his class and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's those kind of people that just make such an impact on us. And obviously, she made such an impact on you. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I think I can attribute my whole college career to Miss Cassidy. And if you think about it, if I didn't transfer to Salisbury and have that consultancy course about rebranding a health clinic, I probably would have never opened the door to marketing and stepped in. And here I am
Yeah.
doing it every day.
Isn't that something? Isn't
Crazy.
it something you look back on the
Yeah.
relationships that you've had and how pivotal they were in your life and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know you want to honor a couple other people too, so I want to make sure I give you that opportunity. So,
Yes, absolutely. Joe Benyish, he is someone from Salisbury University who's actually my supervisor when I was a grad assistant.
okay,
Um, he taught me what it is to be a leader and, working with a team. And he's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Chris Weir, I'd mentioned before with Braggy Strategic Marketing. He helped me develop my skills as a marketer.
okay,
I currently also work part-time at Renaissance Marketing. So Eric Alonzi and Leo Farnham, they have really helped me hone in my skills, and they kind of helped me step up to another level of marketing. And it's been an honor to work with them. Um, of course, my mom and dad, because I wouldn't be here today without them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
um, yeah, I think
That's
that's good.
awesome. So, Dan, if you look at these relationships in your life, and you've kind of alluded to this, I just want to dig just a little bit deeper. But
Mhm.
if you look at a situation where you got to make a really substantial impact, so much where it even impacted you, and you were like, man, that was so awesome. And you also know that would have never happened, that would have never been possible if not for the relationship that you have had with whoever it is that you have mentioned today. Give me an example of something like that.
Um, in personal terms, like someone who's
Yeah,
impacted me that way,
whether
or I would impact someone else.
how you got to impact somebody else because
Oh,
of your you just figured it out. I saw the look on your face.
spark. No, I'm just kidding. Brain blast. So when I was living in the tiny home and I was working remotely in marketing as a freelancer, I decided that I want to become an instructor. I
Okay,
don't know if I want to be a professor. I just want to teach because, Miss Carlene, a bunch of other people in my life have made such an impact as an educator. So I decided I was going to create a course called Social Media Manager 101, and I advertised it in, I think, the Women in Marketing Facebook page and a few other places across Google and Facebook. And I had 45 people sign up on it. And this girl, Jenica, showed up 10 minutes before the Google class, completed all the assignments, and she stuck with me the whole time. Like it eventually became just me and Jenica time.
okay.
And she was very, very shy. She'd cover her mouth when she spoke.
Oh,
She's super timid. And I eventually said, you know what, Jenica, you're really good at this. Like your skill set is there. How would you feel about being paid to do this? Would you like to work with me? And she glowed up and she was like, really? And I was like, yes, like you can definitely work with me. Like I would be honored if you're okay with it. And yeah, she worked with me for 3 years. She
wow.
completed university. She no longer does this anymore. She's more confident. It was just really cool to see the difference between when I first met her to where she is today.
Yeah. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. And I love hearing stories like that. And
Hmm.
because, not only did you impact Jenica's life, but as a result of that, the flow forward from that how that's going to play out in other relationships in her life too. We
Hmm.
never know. And the same is true for the work that you do with the clients that you serve, because of the companies that you serve, you know, the impact that you make there, you'll never, and this is what I've really figured out over the years, is the more we just continue doing our thing, the more impact we get to make. And it's this collaborative and co-creative thing, because it's a combination of us bringing our God-given abilities, our gifts to the table, and it's also all about who we serve. And it's that
Hmm.
co-creative and collaborative process that allows us to really make our biggest impact and stuff. And you
That's
gave such a perfect example of that with Jenica. And we'll never know the real impact that we get to make in this job. But it's cool thinking about it. It's really cool thing.
Mhm.
We can always see that frontline stuff, but there's a lot more that goes beyond. I'll tell you, I remember one time in my previous, I used to have a publishing company for 12 years, and we had this course that we sold $16.1 million worth of that course in 12 years. And I
Wow.
remember one time being in the office after hours, and we got a call, and it was from this teenage girl who, when my assistant wasn't there, and I answered the phone, and she was like, "Is this Mr. Thompson?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "This is Kevin Thompson," and she starts crying. And she's like, "I just want to thank you so much because your course, my mom and dad bought your course for their business, and you gave me my parents back. And they
Aw.
now have changed so much about their business, and I hardly even got to see them. But now I get to see my parents way more, and it's because of you and all the work that you've been doing with." And I'm like, man, that just like melted me. And I've never ever forgot that experience. And that's what really opened my mind up to, like, you have no idea the real impact of the work you're doing and the lives that you're touching. And it's way bigger than just the people, the frontline people that you're serving. And the same is true for you, Diana. So I just kind of wanted to make sure that we point that out for you and the people in your world.
That is
So
true.
for people listening to this that are just sitting here going, "Man, Kev, I really love Diana. I love the way she shows up." And maybe some of them are thinking like, "Man, I could probably use somebody like her in my life." Is there any website, any resources that you can share that we can include with the show notes so people can follow up with you if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to my website, which is www.palm, like a palm tree, pine, like a pine tree, dot design. So
Okay,
palmpine.design.
design.
You can submit a get in touch form with us, and I'll put you through an automation to book your discovery call with me.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Well, I will make sure and include that with the show notes when my assistant does this. Um, any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you did something, I want to make sure I give you that opportunity.
I feel like the theme of this was making an impact. And when you have an oh shit moment, don't quit. Always keep pushing and going forward. Be resourceful. You
Absolutely.
got this. Because like you said, as an entrepreneur, you'll hit many of those oh shit moments, but you just got to keep going.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes,
Actually,
those oh shit moments happen.
I had one happen just this week. I
Okay.
delivered a full month's worth of content and they responded, I need all of this in Spanish.
Oh my gosh.
But I worked through it. We got it all done in a timely fashion. So yeah, you'll definitely have them, and it builds character.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It creates resourcefulness. Yes.
Yep.
So, well, Diana, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you. And I'm excited to get this out there.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is amazing.
Absolutely.